Right, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us here today to listen to this presentation. We have joining us here the Executive Director of Mamba Exploration, Mr. Simon Andrew, and the Vice President of Standard Uranium and Vice President of Exploration, Mr. Sean Hilliker, to give us a discussion and review of the exploration findings from the company's Canary Uranium Project in Saskatchewan. I'm going to hand it over to Simon now, and we might have some time for questions at the end. Over to you, Simon.
Thanks, Peter. And yes, appreciate everybody dialing in to the call. We wanted to take the opportunity to share some of the findings, technical findings from the recent drilling we completed at Canary in late May, a project we still have, we're really excited about, and it's early stage work for us, but the drilling campaign went exceptionally well, under budget, under time, zero downtime. So those aspects of it were absolutely brilliant. And whilst we wait for assays to come back from the lab, I think it was opportune to bring in Sean Hilliker, who ran the program for us and runs all the standards exploration programs. He's the President and VP of Exploration, a veteran of the Athabasca Basin. Sean, if you don't mind me saying that.
Absolutely.
Big discoveries up there. So with that, I will pass across to Sean, who can run through some of the technical findings and some really encouraging stuff that we saw at the Canary drilling. Sean.
Thanks, Simon. Sounds good. Yeah, thanks for having me on the call here. Pleasure to talk about Canary. I mean, it's one of our most exciting projects, and we were really happy for Mamba to come in and help us drive it forward and start exploring it for the first time. So just a little bit of background about the project. It's just over 7,300 hectares. It's on the eastern side of the Athabasca Basin. That's where the two operating uranium mines are in Saskatchewan and Canada. Very infrastructure rich. It's a great place to be. You can see on the map in the news that we've put out, we're in very good company in this area, surrounded by really big players, including Cameco, IsoEnergy, and others in the area as well. So exceptional zip code to have on a uranium exploration project. And we're actually just 11 kilometers straight north of IsoEnergy's Hurricane deposit, which is the highest grade undeveloped resource on the planet. So that's our exploration thesis on Canary, is we're looking for high grade unconformity related uranium mineralization that's typical of the Athabasca Basin in Saskatchewan. So we, Standard Uranium, completed a ground survey, resistivity survey on the project in 2022, and that kind of set the stage for coming in and getting this thing drill ready. So then Mamba came in, they've optioned into the project, so they're earning into Canary over a 3-year period, and this was our year one exploration spend was inaugural drilling. So like Simon said, a testament to the technical team and all of our vendor teams, the guys at Base Diamond Drilling, at Echo Helicopters, that really made this thing go off without a hitch. Definitely top 3 drill programs I've ever run or been involved with. Like Simon said, no downtime, and we came out with some really interesting rocks. So that's what we'll talk about today. So a few of the key takeaways that we kind of highlighted in our news releases to the market. We were seeing really interesting rocks, and not just interesting, but interesting for uranium. So the correct lithologies or rock types that we're looking for, namely metasedimentary rocks. So what we call metapelites and things of that nature. And not only that, but they've been highly deformed. So in the Athabasca Basin, we're focusing on these big corridors that we call conductors. They're essentially big structures that are ripping through the rock and create space for uranium to come in. So that's what we've been seeing in the basement rocks here at Canary on our first 4 drill holes. We completed just over 1,800 meters of drilling in those 4 holes. So shallow targets here and really interesting rocks, both in the sandstone and the unconformity. So that's what we're seeing in the basement rocks, is these packages of metasedimentary rocks, which are the ideal host rock for uranium mineralization in this part of the world. And not only that, but we saw really wide zones of silicification. So that's a certain type of alteration or change in the rock that's come in and really creates a contrast in the competency of the rock. So that allows them to deform and open up and potentially host uranium even easier. So a really important feature of a couple of the main uranium deposits on the east side. So McArthur River, one of the 2 operating mines, And the Phoenix deposit that Denison Mines is trying to put into production straight away here is a feature that's called a quartzite ridge. So that's essentially these basement rocks that have been silicified and are extremely hard and tough. And then you have these metasediments up against those, and that creates the ideal conditions for uranium deposits to form. So it's essentially a trap for the uranium fluids, pardon me. So that's kind of what we've defined over the 4 holes that we drilled at Canary. We did a really nice reconnaissance drill pattern over the northern conductor, which had never been drilled ever. So that's where we did our ground survey that I mentioned and defined these drill targets. So really excited about what we're seeing there. And this corridor is huge. And the anomalies that we're testing, 4 drill holes is a pretty good first pass, but there's lots to go here and lots that we're still excited about. Other alteration types that we're seeing, so other changes in the rock associated with uranium, hematite alteration, clay alteration, really good signs that we're along, the right type of corridor and seeing the right type of fluids come through there. We've actually, since our announcement came out, we've got a few preliminary results back from the clay mineralogy. So telling us what types of clays are actually in those samples that we took, and we've confirmed dravite clay, which is a boron-rich clay that is commonly associated with high-grade uranium deposits in the basin. So you don't often see that type of clay just kind of hanging around by itself, but that's a really good pathfinder mineral to look for high-grade uranium. So we've confirmed dravite in our very first holes at Canary, which is fantastic, as well as other favorable types of clay and magnesium chloride as well. So all really good looking ingredients to keep pointing us in the right direction as we move forward. So those are kind of the high level highlights of the rocks that we've seen. And then the main thing is we hit a sniff of radioactivity in the last hole, which is really fantastic in a brand new area that's never been tested. So we define anomalous radioactivity as anything over 300 counts per second. That's measured on our handheld scintillometer device and with our downhole gamma probe. So we had a sniff of over 300 on the last hole, which is fantastic. And then, we can use that to continue to vector in. So really, really great inaugural success on the very first program ever. Anything you want to add to that there, Simon?
No, I think that's right. I think that's exactly right, Sean. I think probably then, next steps we sort of, as you've seen on the maps we put in the various releases, this is just the northern corridor, and part of the attraction of the project is that there's the 2 southern areas as well, which have some historical workings on them, but that'll be part of the next steps. As we plan this summer into next year as well, as part of our earning, is to start to focus on those southern areas as well. Is that's correct, Sean?
Absolutely. Here, I'll share a map here that was in our release of that of the project, just showing the project and those 3 corridors.
Yeah, that's the one.
So there's the project there. So you can see our 4 drill holes that were focused up here. These darker green blobs here are the resistivity anomalies that we were testing along the corridors. So the corridors are these darker gray lines coming through here. So you can see we actually, like Simon said, we really have 3 different stories on the project, which makes it even more exciting. So we've got the northern conductor that we just tested for the first time. And then we have the conductor down here to the southeast and to the kind of south central of the project as well. So the only 3 historical drill holes on the project are highlighted by these blue dots here. And CRK 137 actually had some really anomalous uranium values in the basement rock, 250 ppm over 1.5 meters. And then same with this hole, HL 0701, that was actually drilled off conductor, had some pretty anomalous uranium in the sandstone over 20 odd meters of 3.3 parts per million. So anything over 1 part per million in the sandstone is anomalous, and anything over about 100 in the basement is anomalous. So really, really interesting things in these historical drill holes that didn't really give a proper test of these areas. So like Simon said, we're looking forward to phase 2 and potentially doing some more work this year, since we came in way under budget on the drill program. We've got wheels in the works here for what we want to do next, and we can discuss that a little bit. But that'll include some more groundwork on these other two trends as well, to help refine and sharpen our pencils to come in for phase 2 drilling as well. So exciting stuff all around here.
Yeah, exactly, Sean. That's the whole reason why we bought into the project was exactly that. There's multiple shots at the at finding an economic resource, as you can see on the map there, and the Canary drilling was just the first phase of that. That's probably time to wrap up, Peter. Anything you think we should cover off on us in addition?
Well, look, it's thanks, Sean and Simon. Look, Saskatchewan, it's a great jurisdiction if you're looking for uranium, probably one of the best in the world, and so far the exploration looks encouraging. This time of year, what are conditions like for exploration, and what's your sort of window there, and also in terms of contracting and drilling and that sort of situation in that area?
Yeah, good question. The great thing about Saskatchewan is you can essentially explore all year, even in the bitter cold. When it's minus 50 degrees Celsius, everything's nice and frozen, so it's cold, but we can still work. And right now, everything's in full swing up there as well. So accessibility for the project is super easy in the summer. And then in the winter, it would be a little bit more of a chore. It is a little bit more remote, but there is some historical trails we can use as well. But no worries on the contractors. We've got all those relationships very tight. Everybody's standing by, and like I said, Simon and I have been working on the next steps and what we want to do next, and we have some pieces in motion and people lined up to come execute on the next steps going forward on the program.
It's certainly a hot district and a hot commodity. And in terms of getting results back from the labs, what sort of timing are you getting between getting the rocks in and the results back?
Yeah, I mean, it varies, but the lab here in Saskatoon called Saskatchewan Research Council is really well suited and well versed in these big boom cycles that we go through. So obviously they're very busy right now with everybody doing a lot of work, but we expect to be probably about 2 months, kind of at the most, 6 to 8 weeks probably from the time that we drop them off till the time we get all of our results back. But like I said, we've already got our clay results back, which is great, confirming that dravite in drill core. But yeah, the chemical assays should be coming around here probably next month, I'm hoping. So fingers crossed for that. Yeah.
Thanks, Sean. And you may have mentioned it, but what are the next steps in the exploration program?
So let me, I'll grab that, Sean, if you like, and so Peter, a few things to look at there. Certainly there'll be some looking to do some work on those 2 southern corridors on the Canary project. But likewise, assays will come back and we'll feed those into the geological model and work out what the next steps are for that northern corridor as well. And hopefully be back out on the ground this year with any luck, as Sean said. Access to people and providers, and the project is amenable to the next 3-4 months. So hopefully we can get back on the ground and continue to generate news flow. I would also say, in addition to that, the other ground we put into the portfolio up and around Canary provides, again, we'll be looking to work that this year as well. So that's then another avenue for additional news flow to come through for investors.
All right, thanks, gentlemen, and thanks everybody who's joined us here today. If there are further questions that were not answered in the presentation, please send them through to either Alex or Peter at nwrcommunications.com.au, or make sure that Sean and Simon get hold of those. This presentation will also be available on the website and sent out to all subscribers. Thank you for joining us here today, everybody, and thank you, Sean, and thank you, Simon.
My pleasure.
Thanks, Peter.